you guys? Welcome back to Being 40 Show. Frank Mola is my name. Really excited to be here with you today, wherever you're seated. Now, we got a request, and the request is very simple. Guys, why don't you talk about fertility or infertility? Of course, with me is Venus Chengo, who's gonna take us through this conversation. Venus, how are you?
I'm well. Ni leo menyamaza hivyo, like, you know, sauti si ile ama uko na kikohozi.
Now you see, you know, during,
anyway, that's just not.
And even I'm trying social distance.
Yeah,
anyway, so,
in fact, I was going to tell you social distance. Vile sauti na huhu. Anyway, guys, welcome back to Being 40. It's just amazing to be here in this space. Of course, we have been doing the StreamYard, but watu wengi sana, they have complained. Wanasema, no, we need to go back to where we were, how we know you guys. So here we are. Of course, as I said earlier, we've been pretty busy. Frank got promoted, as I always say, atasema baadaye, but
really?
Yes, that's how it's been crazy for us to do the shoots. But thank you so much for the feedback. You know, there's some of you, Akina Benson Omanga, you know, Yani, I'll definitely, you know, state all your names, even as we go by. But thank you so much for the feedback. And Frank, you know, one thing that I really appreciate about our viewers is that they're able to come out and tell us, you know, and give us, you know, authentic requests.
Correct.
Vitu haziko, vitu si za kawaida. Like now, guys have been asking, what is our opinion about fertility? Of course, being 40 and all that.
Yes,
so I think that is a very good place, you know, to start from. And let me just state that personally, I will talk from a place of being a therapist and dealing with people who have gone through that journey. I have my own children. I have never struggled to have children. And I thank God, not that I'm bragging, but I have not been in that space. But I have worked with people who have been in that space. And I can say that it is not easy, especially in our 40s. Yes. I know at one time I attempted...
Are you talking to me? I feel like...
Ni miss my viewers. But anyway,
okay, so, yeah,
there's a time, I think when I was hitting 40, I really wanted a child. And I managed to convince my husband. But, you know, it didn't go, you know, till the 9th month because the baby lost the heartbeat somewhere in between, and it really devastated me. Correct. But I know fertility in our 40s is not as it were when you went. In fact, I always tell people, if you can, have your children as early as you can, in your early 20s, in, you know, mid-20s, yes, before 30s. Correct. Because your body is the way it has been, you know, God has made us is, you know, that is the right time.
And this is mainly for ladies.
Exactly. But we find that now with the current generation, people prefer to have babies when they have the money, when, you know, when they get to that place of self-actualization.
Family lasts.
Yes.
Let me just career.
Exactly.
What's the first? I want to be what do you call it?
Self-actualized, you know, yes.
But it's quite interesting because as you chase that, you get to that 40, you know, family, then it hits you like, wait, I'm lonely, I'm alone. And by the time you start, you go back to almost being depressed.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so you're talking about, you do therapies.
Yes.
You've worked with people in this journey. Let's touch a bit on, you know, being 40. I mean, ladies who are about 40 or even 50. From experience and from the therapist perspective, what have you come to see? What are they talking about? What are the challenges? And also, I really want us to touch on infertility, not just for ladies, but also for men.
For men.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for me, let me talk from the ladies' part, and then probably as I touch on the men, of course, it's what I know in terms of knowledge.
Correct.
But, you know, one of the challenging things, and I want to speak now from being 40, because that's the space we are in. A lot of factors come into play when it comes to fertility. Number one, age. Age is a huge factor. Frank, we all know that, you know, as we continue developing, as we, you know, get into that space where we age, our hormones are not at the same levels as they were in our younger. You know, that's why you're more, you know, active sexually in your 20s, especially as a woman. But as you go towards menopause, it can be either way, depending on how your hormones are playing around, okay? So age is an important factor. That also affects how, you know, how would I say, the survival rate of that pregnancy. Because at the end of the day, I know most of all my clients have told me they have had to receive extra hormonal therapy to be able to sustain the pregnancy.
Correct.
And that brings in a lot of stress. Now, what happens when couples go for fertility treatment? They're given all these options. You'll have to go through your jabs. You know, of course, it's kind of, let me just say it's ungodly. Let me just say, because, you know, everything is done outside the normal process. Yes, the normal process of siring a child.
Correct.
So for the men, they normally feel you know, like violated, because it's not natural. You have to, you know, it's something that you do. Okay, can I say, let me not say it's a sin, but you know, you understand what without even mentioning, you know, yes. So normally men are a bit, you know, hesitant about that process, especially men who know God, men who believe, who are inclined to the religious law. Okay. But sometimes, you know, there's no other option. So once someone is in that space, you just have to go. You just have to continue with the process.
Makes sense.
So we're talking about age, the process itself, and then also the pressure of life. Why would you want a child? Because maybe there's pressure coming from your in-laws. If you've done 20 years without a child, why not consider, you know, adoption, as opposed to spending so much money, because this thing is very expensive. I think I met a lady who told me she spent over 1 million trying to conceive,
and was she successful?
And it didn't work out. Yes. So financially, it can also be very, very straining.
But it's not so much about the money, because you can spend this much, but also there's an aspect about your body. Because yes, you can, even if you're able to pay the amount, but maybe the timing is not right, the food you're taking is not right, and then also at the same time, it just seems like it's heavy on women. You know, for me, that's a thing where I find, when you talk about fertility, you get married to somebody, the next time it's like you've not been able to get a child. The perception is the man wants to run and get somebody else. But in the real sense, we have almost 20% of men also are not able to.
It's true.
Complete the whole process.
But of course, ladies also suffer from a lot of fear, because when you know you have, you know, you cannot have a child, or probably, you know, most of the time I think it's also, you know, it's a thing about, it has to do with patience, because I know people who have done 15 years and eventually yes, but sometimes, you know, and let me just speak from being a lady, you know, sometimes we start using contraceptives too early in life, such that the body is conditioned in a certain way. But then when you let go and you really want to have that child, the body takes too long to readjust.
Cause chemicals.
Yes, exactly. So sometimes it's not even an issue of you cannot conceive, unless the doctor has said it. And I've had people who say, the doctor told me that I cannot conceive. And after some time, you know, when you let go and you know,
miracles
you accept, miracles happen. I once read of a story where a woman actually had a baby growing in the intestines.
What?
Oh yes, a 47-year-old. Intestines. And you guys can Google this. It's there. As in intestines. And she carried that child till I think 6 months. Then the baby was removed and then put in an incubator. That lady's in the UK, yes. And she actually got a child. So why I'm sharing this is there are things that just happen beyond the scope. It takes God. And that's why sometimes I always say, trust God. I mean, we always say we don't want to, you know, shove God down your throat. But there are things that, you know, only God can do for you. And the stress that women go through trying to conceive is already toxic enough to make you not conceive. Because it's all about, you're not in a space of being relaxed. Mara, you want to eat what? Mara, you know, there are tantrums. You know. So at the end of the day, that stress itself works everything, and it makes everything not succeed.
So what are some of the things that probably we can, you know, share with our viewers, you know, just let them know, when you think of fertility and infertility, if you cannot get a child as a couple, there's an option of adopting. This is not something so much in our African tradition most people embrace, but it's an option. But I also believe there's an element of, to your point, ladies, it is good if they think of trying to get children at a tender age, if you can.
Yes.
Right? No, we're not saying just you rush and dive into it. No. But we have this mentality that comes out and people say, I need to make my money. I need to be self-sufficient. I need to reach some level of self-actualization. Then at that point, I'll be ready to get a child. So we are also not saying that it's a wrong thing, but we also say that the decisions you make have consequences.
It's true.
In your life.
It's true.
So I don't know what advice you'd want to give either to the men or to the ladies in terms of fertility and infertility. Yeah.
I come from the school of thought where two is, the saying goes, two is better than one. So no matter what you're doing, you need to agree as a couple.
Right.
Let it not be from a selfish point of view. Let it not be from a place of fear.
Correct.
Because yes, it is true that men would try to, it's about proving that
Correct.
I can actually sire a child.
Correct.
So a lot of the couples who go through, these infertility issues, you find that the man or even the lady will go out there and try and conceive with someone else just to prove that you're the one with
the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you have, unity and you're in agreement about how to, go about this challenge, then
Right.
you have each other. You don't need the world. You have each other. And that makes it easier for you, whether you're seeking fertility treatment, whether you're thinking of adopting a child, whatever you choose, you have each other's support.
Correct.
Now, the issue comes whereby it comes from a selfish place and you find yourself being the one to go to the doctor alone. It's like you have to drag the other person, and it ends up being very, very strenuous for you.
Correct.
So for me, from, coming from where I sit, I would advocate for unity, a lot of prayer. As I said, it takes God.
Anchored in
It
prayer.
takes God.
Correct.
If, let's say, the man is the one who has an issue,
Correct.
then at the end of the day, there are other options. There are other options which should be, I think, godly. Because sometimes, think of the long-term effects. What are the consequences?
Correct.
If you go for surrogacy, what are the consequences? Because yes, you could have someone who's doing this as a business and they will carry the child for you.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, remember, spiritually, from a spiritual place, that child is connected to that person who carried the baby through the umbilical cord.
There's a connection.
Yes. Of course, we sign the consent forms and all that, but at the end of the day, have an open mind, because this person could once again just have, come back and try and, So at the end of the day, as I'll just underline, have an agreement, trust God in the process. And at the end of the day, support each other. That is what matters. If it works out, well and good.
Correct.
If it doesn't, then think of other. You can always. I've also, had sessions with what we call blended families,
Correct.
where you have, you came with your own children, I came with my own children,
Correct.
and you had your own children, or you chose to adapt
Correct.
other children, and you're living as a happy family.
Yeah.
So options are there. Let us not die. Thinking
that,
of how much we are a failure just because maybe we have damaged uterus, or probably, maybe you're impotent. No, there's always a way out, but choose what works for you and what is sustainable over the time.
Totally amazing conversation, guys. Totally amazing conversation. Again, fertility, infertility. I had to let Venus Chengo really talk to us about this. Why? Because she's a therapist. I mean, you'll hear her when she's talking, when you get to the minds per session on what you need to do. Guys, you can also reach out to her if you have one or two concerns, or if you just need some clarity on one or two areas. But also, as we come to close this session, is also to tell my fellow men, guys, it is possible for us to be infertile. It's very much possible, and it's normal. And there are options like Venus has articulated and said as well. Just try to look at that. Important also is go see a therapist, go see a doctor, go see whoever you need to see. My fellow men, sometimes our sperm count is quite low, and that's why we might not be able to complete Kufanyeyo. So also at the same time, don't be shy about it. Talk about it.
Hello there, welcome back to a show, and this is the Minds Per Moment, where we talk about psychological facts. We've been talking about the fertility issue, and at the end of the day, this is a very, very sensitive topic, especially for those who have walked down that lane, and probably those who are trying to conceive. Now, the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs pyramid brings in a lot of the things that we look out for as human beings. At the base is where we want love, and at the top of this pyramid is self-actualization. Now, everything in between there has to touch on security, has to touch on a sense of belonging and all that. And part of the reason we seek out for fertility treatment has to do with a sense of belonging, has to do with security has to do with love, okay? But remember, for this pyramid to really stand at the base, you need love. 2 are better than 1. So wherever you're thinking of options, please think of your partner. Yeah? What brought you together is love, all right? And what will sustain your relationship is your ability to self-actualize, whereby whatever you choose to do is based on what you feel is safe for you. Okay? We succumb to a lot of pressure, and this messes up how we think and how we feel. I'll tell you a personal experience with people I have been with and worked with, and something they have even shared at a personal level. A lot of people who are seeking fertility treatment have a lot of hatred towards women who have children. It is natural. There's also that, I don't want to call it a fear, but there's that belief that someone else has rogad you, okay? For those of you who are not in Kenya, is bewitching. You've been bewitched, okay? That is all all this go on in our minds. But at the end of the day, remember, it is you who has to decide what is good for yourself. Do not succumb to pressure from the outside world. Do not allow your spirituality, okay, to be dented because you start believing in black magic and all that. The thing is, you are not alone in the journey. You need to consider your partner. Be at unity. Make goals together. But as you do this, please think of the long-term goals, because at the end of the day, remember the pyramid? If you don't do things together as one, you will end up losing that person and also probably losing your family at large. So at the end of the day, love wins in the journey of fertility. Once again, this is Being 40, and this is the Minds Per Moment.
Hello, welcome once again, Brutal Facts, Frank Mola on Being 40. Exciting days, guys, totally exciting. Now, we were talking about infertility, and you saw Venus was really deep diving and delving into that conversation. She's a therapist, so she knows all this stuff, you know. So I'm also learning a lot of things from her, and mine is just to remind you guys that it is okay sometimes as a man, you know, not to be able to get a child. It's not your wish. Sometimes these things just happen, right? Statistics has it around 20% of men are not fertile. And there are other options of adoption possible, which is not as bad. I know in our African traditions, it's a bit not the norm, but it's there. Most of us tend to feel like the problem is the woman. And we tend to feel like I need to step out and go and get somebody else and see if I'm going, you know, to be able to get a child and all that. But guys, it is here with us. Let's not run away from it. Let's face it. Again, I'll just reiterate what Venus said. As long as you're two of you, you understand each other, you connect, and you're going to have these conversations, that is what is very, very much important. Sometimes when you marry somebody, you just don't know. It's God's plan, it's God's wish, the way things turn out. So on this one, really, I don't know if you really need to do your 10-10-10 or infertility, because I don't know how that would work. Sijui kama utambia mtu able to confirm ama mutakonfirmaje. This one 10-10-10 might not apply, guys. So stay safe, enjoy life. If you're blessed with kids, I mean, it's a good thing, take care of them. If you're still trying, we've seen people over and over, you know, many years, and eventually they are successful. So that's Being 40, Brutal Facts. Going back to Being 40, thank you very much for listening. Venus, in less than a minute.
You know I love talking. So for those of you who are watching us for the first time, please like, share, and subscribe. I got it right. If you watch the first episode, if you're watching us for the first, we just enda chini, check out. Yani, I was shrubbing like crazy, but thank God, miracles happen. I have, you know, toned this tongue. So like, share, subscribe this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us feedback. What do you want us to talk about? Listen, we are here not to superimpose our beliefs on you, but to just have a candid conversation about life and see where we can influence you in a positive way. So once again, this is Being 40, and thank you so much for always being there, always watching, always subscribing, always you're subscribing with a magic guy. Nimeenda back to chat.
Guys,
okay, so
thank you. It was all about fertility. Venus gets excited. Asanteni sana. Let's meet in the next episode. And remember to pray as we get into the festival.
Amen.
Thank you. Cheers.